time.
Yeah. That was actually one of the questions that I didn't have on the list, but I kind of wanted to follow up with was like, how do you, I guess, in those situations, whether it be in the life care or emergency medical care or whatever it is, what would you say would advice to be to somebody that's in like a patient's shoes where it's like balancing like cost slash kind of what's best for the dog?
Mhm.
Because like clearly if budget's a big factor, then it's like, well, I can only go so far in terms of budget. But then
Mhm.
also like, let's say that budget wasn't a concern. What would you say would be
Mhm.
like, is the line different for everybody? Because like my line for Mia was like, I'm not gonna let her pee and poop on herself, you
Yeah.
know? And like as soon as I started seeing that become a symptom, that's where my line in the sand was, where it's like, it'd be better for her to just go. I don't want her feeling bad all the time about,
Mhm.
the bladder issues and stuff. Um, yeah, anyways, I guess that's kind of the question is like, is the line different for everybody? Do you help people draw where the line should be? That
Mhm.
kind of thing?
It is such a personal decision, 100%.
Yeah.
The lines in the sand vary immensely.
Mhm.
Now, I will say that if I walk into a home and I'm like, I I think we're misdiagnosed, or maybe we're up against something that we could do something differently. I had one family that I legitimately said, "I'm sorry, but euthanasia is not the right decision today," because what they were seeing was it's actually behavioral. They thought they were seeing aggression from this dog, and actually it was just a resource issue. They did
Mm,
not have a fence, so the dog was just running out the door and, and approaching people on the street. So what they were seeing as aggression, I mean, I met the dog, I spent time with her, and I was like, I think that this dog's just really social and
you just
has
need some underdog training.
yeah, it
Yeah,
has
yeah.
no understanding of appropriate manners. Yes,
Right.
she's jumping on me, but she's not giving me any indication that she's resource guarding or anxiety driven or
Right.
anything like that.
Yeah.
So that was a situation where I was like, no, I think we just need to rehome her. I think she needs a house where she has a fence and where, and it was a lovely lady who had adopted her, but she was
Mm.
told the dog was a couch potato. I was like, this is a 2-year-old pit bull. She's not going to be a couch
Definitely not
potato
a
for
couch
years.
potato. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
man.
Yeah.
so that those things happen. But the lines in the sand, I do have that discussion with families a lot because lines in the sand can depend on the not just the owner's situation, to your point, not just the budget. It can very much depend on the pet's personality. It can depend on um how, the support system that may or may not be there for
Mm.
that owner. If you have a pet who needs who needs insulin twice a day,
My
or they're
family's weenie dog,
yeah, yeah.
we did
Oh
not get
yeah,
to meet.
that's sweet. Oh, I remember.
Oh,
Oh
the
my
weenie dog was out.
yeah,
Yeah,
oh
she
yeah.
literally gets insulin
Precious
twice a
angel.
Yeah,
day.
Yeah. But
Mabel was on shots for diabetes
yeah.
coming towards the end of her life.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
Anyways, but
so
support
it
system.
but if you don't have, say, if you have a situation where, "Doc, I work the night shift. I start at, 3 PM and I work till 3 AM," my dog doesn't get to go out. I have no family, no friends that's gonna help me come take care of my dog who can give injections, who can let them out more frequently because they have to use the bathroom 8 times a day now.
Mm.
Yeah.
That might be a line in the sand.
Ugh,
I can't,
yikes.
Mm.
because ultimately it's about preventing struggle for that pet, you
Yeah,
know?
because I mean, you do have to consider the dog
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't
quite a
let
bit.
no veterinarian is gonna say, "Well, that's fine. We'll just go without insulin and we'll just let them, urinate all over themselves." It's
Mm.
not gonna that's not the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My line in the sand for Cassie was, she started telling me she was tired of getting her fluids every day. And, the
Mm.
fluids were incredibly important for her
You mean
kidneys
fluids like the big hump
under
on their
the
back?
skin,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So with kidney disease, fluid therapy is like the foundation, right?
Okay.
Because the kidneys are working in reverse. They are letting all the nice hydration out too quickly,
Mm.
and they're keeping in all the pollutants
Oh, yeah.
essentially. So
That's
they're
not
doing the
good.
reverse of what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So fluid therapy for kidney disease pets in general is the foundation of management.
Mm.
It's not always easy. Trust me, I have one cat that I'm like, I don't think she's gonna let me give her fluids without losing some fingers,
Right.
if we ever come to that. But Cassie was always very cooperative. She would jump in the same spot every morning. We'd do her fluids, get her a little bolus, and then off she goes, eat her breakfast.
Aw.
So one of my lines in the sand was, "Baby girl, when you tell me you're tired of this, I'm gonna listen to you."
Mm.
And sure enough, she started jumping off, but then, she jumped in her spot but then she'd kind of like see me with the bag and the needle, and she'd,
Yeah.
move away from me, start jumping off the couch. Um, so that was kind of one of my signs of like,
Yeah.
she's getting tired of this.
Yeah.
Um, Appetite was also part of it. I wanted her to be able to enjoy a steak on her last day. And I knew if I waited too long, the
Yeah.
kidneys are going to take her appetite completely, and I'm not going to be able to
Yeah.
get it back. So that was a line in the sand. I was like, she's going to have her steak. So
Yeah.
we had to make that decision based on, we all have to make this very important decision based on what our lines in the sand are. And again, that line could be based on the disease itself,
Mm.
whether heart disease is a very scary disease. Respiratory disease can be very scary because it can change so quickly.
Right.
So that line in the sand may need to be moved up a little bit in order to prevent an emergency.
Right.
You know, the line in the sand can be based on what's going on with our support system, our family.
Right.
You know, our I hate to say that, but like sometimes lines in the sand come down to we've had this dog for 6 years. We know that they're somewhat aggressive, have some tendencies. Now we have a young child in the house. There was one strike. Is that our line in the sand to say
Right.
we can't keep him any longer in the home? Whether we can rehome him or not is wonderful, but
Mm.
fact is we can't keep him here because now we have a
Yeah.
child in the
Yeah.
house. There's lines in the sand that may move and adjust, but the bottom line is it speaking with your vet is so important to help better understand where that line is appropriate to draw.
Sure.
Because again, the disease process is particularly important to understand what may come from waiting too long past
Right.
that line, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.